I've got the top 10 must-adds for fantasy basketball this week coming up next on Beat the Odds. Don't go anywhere. Hello sports fans and welcome back to another episode of Beat the Odds. I'm going to count down the top 10 must-adds in fantasy basketball. If you like this content, please smash that like button. And a special thanks to all of our subscribers that have been watching these episodes, as you have accounted for 13% of the channel's watch time. Now, if you're a part of the 87% of viewers that have not yet subscribed, I encourage you to do so, as it helps me curate this content for you every week. Also, leave a comment on a player that you think should have been on this list. The players on this week's list should be available in at least 40% of leagues. This episode is brought to you by Thrive Fantasy Sports. Use the promo code BEATTHEODDS to double your first deposit up to $250. And first-time users get a free square. Like this past Friday, if you had bet on KD scoring at least 1 point in his game against the Kings, and he does, then you would have won. Now let's dive right into the list here. At number 10, we have Luguentz Dort, 26% owned, 30 minutes per game last 2 weeks, 15.6 points, 3.6 rebounds, 1.8 assists, 2.2 threes, 0.6 steals, 1.0 blocks, 0.4 turnovers, 57% shooting from the field, and 90% from the line. Dort makes frequent appearances on this list whenever his shot is falling, and it's been doing just that of late. Since he has been taking more of a back seat in the Oklahoma City offense with Chet Holmgren in the fold, he has benefited from a big leap in his percentages from last season. He's also a premier defender, averaging 1.6 stocks per game this year. He's a safe player to own if you're looking for a small boost across the board. Let's go to number 9. We have Norman Powell, 44% owned. Over the past 2 weeks, 28 minutes per game, 16.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, 1.1 assists, 2.4 threes, 0.4 steals, 0.5 blocks, 0.8 turnovers on 57% shooting from the field, 100% from the line. Powell is a pure scorer who has been the beneficiary of some great open looks playing alongside playmakers in Harden and Westbrook. His ownership level has dropped a bit from last year, simply because he hasn't taken enough shots to warrant ownership, and Powell really doesn't contribute much in any other area. Now, as it stands, he is worth a look right now, as he is still going to be a good source of points and threes on some solid shooting splits. To number 8 we go. We have Cole Anthony, 55% owned. Past 2 weeks, he's got 23 minutes per game, 14.2 points, 3.5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 1.2 threes, 0.7 steals, 0.2 blocks, 1 turnover on 48% shooting from the field and 89% from the line. Once he's healthy, Orlando's guard situation seems very murky. The problem is, though, they can't seem to get healthy, which gives Cole Anthony a nice floor for minutes. Anthony Black hasn't really challenged him for shots, and Jalen Suggs has been in and out of the lineup, and I'm really not convinced that Markelle Fultz is going to make much of an impact when he returns. That gives Cole Anthony the ability to be a solid player to own, at least until we see how that roster shapes up. To number 7, we have Patrick Williams, 48% owned over the past 2 weeks, 34 minutes per game, 15.3 points, 4.6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2.4 threes, 0.6 steals, 0.9 blocks, 0.9 turnovers on 52% shooting from the field and 77% from the line. Williams has been a fringe roster-worthy player for pretty much his entire career. He's currently locked into a solid 3-and-D role for Chicago, and he has produced well over the past couple of weeks. His minutes have been on the rise of late, posting at least 30 minutes in 8 straight games, hitting multiple threes in 6 straight. If his minutes remain north of 30 a night, then you can expect Williams' ownership to rise. Let's go to number 6. We have Dante Exum, 34% owned, 32 minutes per game over the past 2 weeks, 17.7 points, 3.9 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 2.1 threes, 0.9 steals, 0.3 blocks, 1.4 turnovers, on 67% shooting from the field and 79% from the line. Now, Exum is slated to miss his game on Friday with a lower leg contusion. It doesn't really sound like he's going to miss a whole lot of time, so the entry on this list kind of coincides with that information. Irving remains out without a timetable, so my best guess is that you're going to see Exum back into his number 2 option role once he returns from his ailment. If he's available, he's worth the injury risk to pick up off the waiver wire. Let's go to number 5. We have Trace Jackson Davis, 33% owned, 15 minutes per game over the past 2 weeks, 7.6 rebounds, 1 assist, no threes, 0.8 steals, 1.3 blocks, 0.8 turnovers on 65% shooting from the field and 100% from the line. It is going to be interesting to see how Coach Kerr sets his lineups for the Warriors' next series of games. Jackson Davis logged 29 minutes in their win over the Celtics, and the running theory is that he has played himself into being the main beneficiary of the minutes vacated by Draymond Green's suspension. Given that he has played more minutes than either Saric or Looney in that game, makes me believe that he's going to be featured more in the offense. Let's go to number 4. We have Isaiah Hartenstein, 54% owned over the past 2 weeks. He's got 31 minutes per game, 7.6 points, 10.7 rebounds, 2.1 assists, no threes, 0.7 steals, 2.1 blocks, 1.3 turnovers on 65% shooting from the field and 62% from the line. Mitchell Robinson's out for the season with his ankle injury, so the Knicks are going to be turning to Hartenstein to hold down the middle. He's excelled in that role in the past, and I would expect that he should be good for a low-end double-double with a couple of blocks on a nightly basis. There are plenty of centers currently rostered that's not going to give you that production. And furthermore, Jericho Sims is likely going to be out for the week as well, which makes Hartenstein even more valuable to pick up. Let's go to number 3. We have Aaron Nesmith, 21% owned. Over the past 2 weeks, he's got 25 minutes per game, 14.1 points, 3.3 rebounds, 0.9 assists, 2.9 threes, 1.3 steals, 1.1 blocks, 1.1 turnovers on 54% shooting from the field and 79% from the line. Nesmith is doing his best Derek White impersonation and saw the assists. The former Celtic has been a much-needed lockdown defender on a team that currently ranks second to last in opponents' points per game. Against Memphis on Thursday, he had 4 steals and 3 blocks while draining 4 threes. He's also scored in double digits in 7 straight, all while logging between 23 and 28 minutes per game. Nesmith's minutes should start to creep into the 30s if he continues to produce like this. To number 2 we go. We have Brandon Podziemski, 32% owned. Over the past 2 weeks, he's got 28 minutes per game, 11.7 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.3 threes, 1.7 steals, 0.3 blocks, 2.3 turnovers on 46% shooting from the field and 67% from the line. Podziemski's lower back strain is a concern, but since he carries the questionable tag going into Friday's tilt against the Wizards, I think it's safe to assume that his injury is not going to keep him out for very long. As discussed previously with Jackson Davis, the state of Golden State's lineup is in flux, and Podziemski was getting a long look in the starting lineup with Wiggins slotted in with the bench crew. Let's go to number 1. We have Caris LeVert, 55% owned. Over the past 2 weeks, he's got 27 minutes per game, 15.8 points, 3.3 rebounds, 4.2 assists, 1.8 threes, 1.3 steals, 0.5 blocks, 1.7 turnovers on 43% shooting from the field and 80% from the line. LeVert is a high-usage player and a spark of energy coming off the bench for Cleveland. He's going to be leaned on a little more with Darius Garland out for a few weeks with a fractured jaw. Donovan Mitchell has missed a little bit of time with an illness, but his absence isn't believed to be long-term. LeVert's going to be a safe bet for around 15 shots a night, and he's going to be one of the team's primary ball handlers. If he's available in your league, I'd say go get him. And that's going to do it here for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video and, of course, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We are going to sign off for now, but I'm going to catch you guys on our next episode.